I'm excited because I missed his presentation last time.
Oh, well, I'm putting it on my phone. That's all I can do.
Hello everyone. Is it audible? Good. Okay. As you can say, I'm an Indian, so my accent is very bad. English is not my first language. So if you don't understand anything I'm pronouncing, please just stop me and ask again. So I just want you to know everything about wild betters. So I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I moved to California back in 2022 December, and this is the first club I came in and joined. I live in Fremont, Bay Area. So yeah, I just want to introduce all you guys to wild betters. So when is the last time you seen a wild better at a pet store? Not a hybrid, pure wild better. Wow. I'm born in 1993, so this is a way long time. Anyone? Any wild betters? Oh, nice. Which type?
That's all I can remember at the moment.
Mahakayensis probably.
Mahagaensis. Okay. Good. Yes.
I saw some Albemarginato about 9 years ago.
Wow. John, I know you. You have some wild betters.
I haven't kept any in a while, but I've been to Borneo and Southeast Asia collecting. I got Macrostoma, Alba marginata, Forche. I in the 90s. I haven't been into bettas for a while, but I used to have a lot.
Cool.
So
That's one dream for me to go to Indonesia or Thailand one day
oh yeah.
to do the collection and everything.
Have you collected any yourself? Or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
it's a lot of
when I was
fun.
in India, I didn't keep any of these fish. You know, my parents they never allowed me to keep any fish. I used to keep honey gouramis because we have river Ganges that flows in our backyard. So we just go grab some the gouramis and keep them in the pot. And
Where did you live? I've been to the Western Ghats, but not
I'm in
anywhere else.
Telangana, Hyderabad. So it's a small town, maybe 500 kilometers, no one heard of. So yeah, so every year it gets flooded, so we get this beautiful fish. They're colorful. Back then we don't even know what they are, so it's just like a 5-year-old kid got some new fish. But my parents they never allowed fish in the house, so I keep them in the garden, feed them some rice, and after 2 or 3 days my dad finds them and goes and dumps them back in the river again. So that's the story for like 16, 17 years, and then I had to move to another city for education, and then I came to US, and there's no one literally stopping me from keeping fish here. So yeah, so like everyone, I started with a fancy betta from a Petco. It's in a small bowl. And after 1 week, I was like, oh, it's so lonely. So I wanted my partner. And I brought a female, and he killed her in 2 days. And then I went back and bought some platies, the red backtail platies. And in a month, they had babies. And I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I can make babies in the house. Fish babies. So I was keeping, and then I got into IFGA, the fancy guppies. I thought maybe I can breed some, fancy guppies, show them in the IFGA show. But I'm very lazy, bad at water changes and everything. So my fish turned out to be the ugliest fish on the bench. So I said, like, okay, I'll just keep some guppies to myself, not for the show. And then it is I think like 2019, that's when the
Okay.
black rams are popular. I paid like $80 each on six. So I brought like six of them, and I got lucky. I got a pair, and I spawned them, and I took them to my local club, and everyone is excited because no one saw them at that time. They are pure black, so that encouraged me to go more into the clubs and everything. One day I met a guy in Cleveland. I drove like 3 hours for the club auction. I met a guy. His basement is full of wild bears. Like he have like probably like 50, 60 species of wild bears. Yeah. So I just went down to zoo home. I saw a fish and I'm like, okay, I just want one betta. So he said like, do your homework, let me know what you want. So 1 month later they have a swap. So I told him, hey, I want I'll be much the chenoids because they're pretty. And I went and he has the table and he's selling from there. And there is a bag with small fry, the bettas in the bag with the male. And that's this betta, then is young guy. So he bagged them. He didn't know the male is holding the eggs. So when he, on the table, he was releasing the fry, as we see. So I'm like, I want that bag. He's like, it's like he said like $35 or $40 a pair, but there's so many babies in there. So I'm like, I want that bag. And he's like, okay, just take it and take it home. So I came home with like a pair and like 150 fry in that bag. I'm gonna show you. So, and then I was like, okay, this is the fish I want to keep. And then I moved away from black rams, the guppies and everything, and I started, buying one after, wild betas. And right now I'm in Fremont. I have like 30 species, or maybe 32 species of wild betas, and some killifish and some sea players, guppies, everything. So yeah, so let's get into the presentation. I can speak for hours and hours. So if you're out of time, just stop me. If not, I can keep on talking. And out of all the fish, why you have to choose the wild betta? It's colorful. It's not as colorful as the fancy bettas because that's how the hybrids are made for. Long fins, colorful, and everything. But wild bettas are also as colorful as the fancy, the show bettas that we see today. And I have a few slides of different types of wild bettas that you can see how colorful they are. And any of you who kept the fancy bettas, the splendens, you can only have one male in a tank. But these wild bettas, you can have like 20, 30, 40 of them in a same tank. They don't kill each other. They just flare with each other. Just like some killifish do, but they never rip off or kill each other. Unless you have just like two males in a tank, they might get nippy and kill one another because when they try to spawn with the female. And low maintenance. Small story here. I was in a third floor apartment. I don't have luxury to keep like 20 longs, 20 highs, or 30, 40 greater tanks. So all I can keep is like 10 gallon or maybe 2.5 gallon containers. And I was able to keep like 10 species of these wild bettas in just like 10-gallon tanks and breed them successfully. And there are fish, that you can keep them in like even bigger, like 50-gallon tanks as well in wild bettas. But most of these bettas, like low maintenance, you don't have to do much water change on them. So as long as the water is stable, they're okay. People they say like when you're keeping wild bettas, you need to have like very low pH, very acidic, soft waters. It is true, but once they got used to your water, they are fine. They don't have any problems spawning and making more babies. And yeah, like I said, comes in all sizes. So we have wild bettas that are inch long, and we have wild bettas that are 6 inches long. So this is a fish for like everyone. If you want to keep your a pair in a gallon container, yeah, we have a wild betta that is just one reaches 1 inch. And if you have like a 50 breeder or 40 breeder tank and you want a wild betta, we have like I brought betta 5, which is like maybe 4 inches today. And you can keep them in a bigger tanks like that. And it's not like most of these wild bettas are care species. So these fish are found in East Asia, like Indonesia, Thailand, in and around, and it's where these species are threatened because of urbanization, all farms like the palm plantation, coconut plantation. So these species are critically endangered in the world, and most of these are lucky on the care species. So you can keep them, and you can get more BAP points for care species. Just an example, how threatened these species are in the wild. Here's an picture of a beta smartigina habitat that a friend of mine, Frank Betas, he's a popular guy on Facebook. He sells all those splendens, from Thailand. So he did this feature a couple years back when he was there catching some smart betas. And he went back next year to collect more because he goes to the habitat once a year. It's all gone. So there was a construction company that came and brought the whole land, and they cleared off all the trees, they cleared off all the marsh and the water land and everything, and they're constructing. So whatever the species of smartina that are found in that location are gone, unless Frank has something at his home. So they're literally gone in just 1 year. So this is just an example on why we encourage everyone to just have at least one species, so that they are not like an extinct from the earth. Okay, the species. So that's a male beta handler. He was flaring to his image. So I'm not a biologist, I'm not a scientist, so I don't go much into details of terminology, art, species, classification, and everything. Just give you a brief idea as an hobbyist. So the beta is basically everyone when they can think of beta is like he is a bubble nester. So every beta lays a bubble nest. The male creates the bubble, and the male together spawn, and the male tends the nest. But most of the species, most of the types of betas are mouth brooders compared to the bubble nesters. So when I say mouth brooders, they are paternal mouth brooders. That means the male incubates the eggs in his mouth for a certain period of time and spits out the fry. So bubble nesting and mouth brooders. And in bubble nesting, we have like three types, three subcategories. One is like Bellica. It's like the biggest bubble nester. It reaches like 4 inches. So if you're keeping that species, I mean, there are like subcategories, even more types in them, but I didn't go in them because there are like probably like 96, 98 described well betas, and there are other 100 that are like not described. So each and every day there are new species or something someone is discovering or finding them in the watershed, and they are not being described as some other fish, so they should give a different name or their name to the fish. So Bellica cosina, so these cosina are the smallest of all betas, so they may range from like an inch to like 2 inches max, and the beta handler that you're seeing is from cosina complex. And then we have splendens. So splendens is like the mahagiances, the smartigana, the imbellis. So these come under the splendens. And then we have mouth brooders. So these fish, like the one where the male basically incubate the eggs in his mouth, and they are divided into like 10 types. I'm not going to pronounce all of those names. So here you can see like two types: the bubble nester and the mouth brooder. So the first picture is beta SP chair.
Number 7 and number 27.
Cool. So we have the first one is beta SP jade. That's a new species that was added to Kusina complex in February 2022. That's a male, 10 eggs. So that picture was taken the night when Eric was giving a presentation in PCCA. So I was talking to Eric and Rishi, that's saying like, okay, my fish is gonna spawn tonight, and I went back, and there he has a nest full of eggs and everything. And this one is better Dennis Young. He's a mouth brooder. You can see the white spots. So those are all the eggs that he's holding after the spawn. And then we have the beta brudigala, which is from Cosina complex. So he should be basically having a bubble nest just like SPJ and tend him, but instead he is mouth brooding. So that is one species that I've seen in the last like 5 years, and just this one male did like one time somewhere in Indonesia, and some of these fish are in between, migrating from like bubble nest to mouth brood. Yes,
Did he? He's a bubble nest builder.
he's a bubble nest.
But he's mouth brooding.
Yes.
Did he complete or did he
Yeah,
eat
he
the eggs?
completed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's just like 3 days. That's it for the bubble nesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he completed, but that's the only time he did like that. No one knows why. Okay. And this is the geographical locations where you can find some of these mouth brooding betas. So the mouth breeding, they are mostly found like most of them comes from like the Indonesia regions, and there are some that are in Malaysia and some in Thailand. And these are the purple like the splendens. The splendens, they mostly come from Thailand. So the Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. So that's the place where you can find most of these like the splendid complex. Aquarium setup. So this is a setup I had in my closet. That is my first setup when I started my hobby. So I was told like these species are shy because most of these fish that I got are wild caught. So they are like shy, you know. So I thought like they need some privacy. So I took out all my clothes and then I put all these tanks in the closet and I used to close the door and just open it, feed it, close it. That's it. So and then I'm like, I'm keeping them, but I'm not enjoying them. So and then I move them outside, and then I'm like, okay, they're not shy. There are some species that are shy, but most of them are not. So first one, they're very good jumpers. They jump a lot. If there are any killifish people here, they know like killifish jump a lot. But these guys can compete with killifish and win the race. So if there is a Olympics, for fish jumping, these guys will win it. So here you can see that's a female. I found her dead after like 3 or 4 months. She became a fish jerky literally. So I have them in like a maybe 5 gallon container and with full of plants. So I didn't bother checking on them regularly. So I was just feeding them. After 3 4 months, I'm like, they should have made some babies. So I was checking, I couldn't find a female, and I took out the tank, and she's on back behind the tank dead. So and the tank is a 10 gallon. I only feel like 3 inches. So imagine she jumped like the remaining and jumped outside. So lids. Lids are very must for for keeping wild baiters. People say like these are like F2s, F3, F4, so they are used to, so they don't jump. It's until that day when they decide to jump out. And here there are no lids because I was keeping all those floaters. So I have thick layer of floating plants that act as a lid at that time. But that was me like when I just started the hobby. Right now I have like lids on all my tanks. So I just stuff all my tanks with a lot of plants. So one like moss, I just use any kind of moss or guppy grass, for the to cover the tank. And I have floater from bait redwood floaters, even like duckweed. I just keep like anything that can cover the tank on the top. Yes.
Do you have to worry about the fish drowning if the floaters get too thick?
No.
They can get through it?
No, they can do it. Yeah. They will spend a spot. Yeah. So yeah, so and one other thing, these plants they just keep the water clean so that you don't have to do much water changes on them. Parameters, but there are like most of them are like okay as long as the water is stable, as long as there is no high and low fluctuations of pH, softness, they should be fine. So when the male and female spawns, sometimes the females they will be ready to spawn again in just a week or 10 days. But most of these mouth brooding bettas they incubate the eggs for like 15 days minimum to 30 days. So when the female is ready to spawn in like in a week or 10 days and the male is holding the eggs, she will go and poke him like, hey, let's do it, I want to spawn. And he's like, oh, I have a mouthful of eggs, I cannot do it again. So but she keeps on poking him and biting him until he's ready to spawn. So if he's okay, we'll just swallow them and go and spawn with her. If not, we'll just kill him. So this is a picture you can see. The female ate a part of the male that was holding. So that aggressive the female can be tough from time to time. So when they spawn and if you see like she's like when he's holding, just take out the female. But if you have like 5 6 pairs in the same tank, she might go and choose another male. She don't have to choose the one that is holding. So if you're just keeping one pair, I would recommend take out the female. If you have multiples, just fine. It's fine. You can keep let them be together. These fish come from regions where the tall leaves and all the dead leaves. So they don't basically got used to like a high intense light. So if you I can show you some of these videos where What is very dark because of tannins and tall leaves. I mean, not leaves, plants, trees. So they are used to like low light, and also like there are some diseases that basically they get because of the high light. So it's not encouraged to keep them in high intense light. You can say, hey, you have a T5 light, LED light, the high intense, but I have a layer of plants, the floating plants, so they cut off most of the light, so it's okay. If you don't have the floaters, just like dim the light, they will be okay. Tannins. So these fish, some of them comes from peat swamps. The layer, the bottom layer in most of the regions of peat swamps. So they got used to these tannins and also the leaf litter from those plants. So these fish either they have beneficial health benefits from those tannins, or at least they feel safe in tannin rich water. Not everything, but few species, not, they basically need some tannins. So Indian almond leaves, alder cones, magnolia leaves, or like guava, banana, or jackfruit, all these kind of like leaves. You can just put them with the fish. Um, One thing that I heard, like from the people who breed the fancy betas is like you need to have a moist, humid air on the top of the aquarium for these betas to develop their labyrinth organs. But most of these wild betas that I kept, they never had any lids or a humid layer of air, but they developed their organs and they're fine. Yes,
So from what I've seen, the point of having the lids over the top of the tanks is to keep it humid so that the bubbleness doesn't pop.
it's true. But as long as the water is like soft and acidic, I think they should be okay. And if there is not much disturbance in the water column, it should be okay too. But yeah, so that's one myth. People were told to have that humid layer for the fish to develop the labyrinth organs, but that's not true. Like they should be fine. And just imagine a male beta next to a high filter, like sponge filter, trying to build a bubble nest. He can never have that nest, full and ready. So these fish, they like, little to no filtration. So I would recommend like, less kind of like water movement in the air. Sorry, water movement so that, at least they feel safe and they can build a bubble nesting. But for mouth brooders, you can have the filtration as much as you want, they don't care. Okay. What to feed? Um, Not just wild betas, like any fish you keep, live food is the best you can feed. So I try to grow live foods at my home, whatever I can. If not, I just go with flakes and pellets. So the moth brooding betas, they eat like flake and pellets, from day one, or when they're caught from the wild. And the day one, if you feed them flake food, they will eat it because they got like you don't know it's a food. But for the mouth brooding betas that are like the bubble nesters who are like 1 inch, they cannot eat flake food or pellets. So they need live food. So if you're keeping mouth brooding, you'll get away with pellets or flake food. But if you're keeping bubble nesters, I would really encourage at least to start with something called a baby brine shrimp and slowly get them used to some small pellets. So the first one, peanut beetle larvae. That's one easy thing I can grow at my home. I brought a culture today. So don't feed the beetles. You have to just feed the larvae. And I feed that to the mouth brooding, the big ones. And white worms, green worms, baby brine shrimp, daphnia, moina, cubiferex worms, black worms, and the red wigglers, like anything. But don't overfeed your betas. So these betas, they have a thing. So if they can only fit like 3 pellets in that tummy, and if they have chance to eat like 5, they go for 5 pellets. So they stuff their tummies with the food that is available. And after eating, they just sit at the bottom because they cannot swim properly. So yes. So basically, just don't overfeed them. Just feed little bit. That's good. So most of the times, people like they're just like, oh, he's eating, and they keep on feeding them, and they keep on eating, so they get these internal diseases like dropsy or whatever. So just don't like feed too much, just little bit. And when it comes to the fry, most of these mouth brooding betas fry from day one, they can eat live baby brine shrimp. But the Cosina complex or the splendens, They need small food like vinegar eels or Illusoria or microworms. So for the day one or day two, when they are hatched, the Cocina complex and the splendens, they stay on the top layer of the water column. They don't go down. So you just have to feed something, the life that stays on the top, which is vinegar eels. And after like 3-4 days, they started to explore the tank, and that's when they go to the bottom layer. And that's when you have to start microworms or the small food. And for moth brooding, yeah, just baby branch on day one, and they can find it. But the chenoids, the albimarginata, the fry stays on the top water column for like a day, and then they goes down. But remain Munimaculata, Saranta, the Dimidiata, Denisionge, they just go around the tank from day one. So common diseases, velvet, that's the one protozoan type. So fish get this gold powdery on the body surface. So that's an indication of velvet. This velvet protozoan is always on all the fishes, but when the fish is really stressed, it take over. You can see that. So one way of curing it is with any copper-based medicine. That's one. I cannot pronounce the name, but one other way is like just do a 50% water change, a little bit of salt, increase the filtration, and close the tank with a blanket for like 15 days. Don't even open it. So this velvet, it grows in the light. So if you have light source, you cannot kill velvet. So just cover the tank with a blanket. They will be okay without food for a week. So you don't have to basically keep on opening every day. Just feed it like once in a week. So they should be okay until it's cleaned up. And the other is like the pine coning dropsy. It's a like internal kidney disease. I don't think I know of any basically treatment for that. If you have any fish that got one, it's like end of its life in a day or two. He or she will die. And bloating, yeah, like I said, don't overfeed. So if you keep on feeding, they keep on eating and they get the bloating issue. And swim bladder issues. Out of spawn of 100 fry, you might get like 3 or 4 swim bladders. So you just don't need to worry about it. You just leave them with the fish, or just feed them to other fish, or euthanize them. Okay, the first species is Beta denisiangi. So this is the male I told you that I got from my friend, and those are all the fry that he released. Yeah, that's a lot. And the theory is like he might have spawned with 2 or 3 females at the same time. So when you have a group of like 10 fish in the same tank, multiple females can spawn with one male, or one female can go and spawn with multiple males. So it's both ways. So in this case, I think maybe 2 or 3 females spawned with him, and he got like probably like 100 to 130 fry in him. So that's a lot, yeah. And I have a sickness. I save each and every one of them. So in like 6 months, I ended up with like a 20 hive with like 120 of them. Yeah. So this fish is a moth brooding. So the male pulls the eggs. These are from Indonesia. They are not picky with water parameters as long as the water is soft and acidic. Not really soft or not really acidic, as long as a little bit like 6.5 or 6 pH with like maybe 100 to 150 TDS, they should be okay. These are like they only reach like 2 inches, like maybe 2.5 if you count the tail. So you can get away from a 5-gallon to a 10-gallon tank. But if you want to keep like multiple generations of the same tank, I would recommend to go with like 20 long. So these fish, they don't like the tall tanks. They like the tall in the sense like long tanks. So if you have like 20 long with longer footprint, it's good for them because they need to come to air, the surface to grab some air. So if you have like 20 guys, so he has to spend every time go up and grab some air. Instead of like 20 long, you can just go like a little bit and get some air, and it's also a larger footprint. So any of these betas try to get like a longer footprint instead of like taller one. And Denis Yongai, it's funny because there are 2 fish in this complex, Denis Yongai and Dobra. If you mix them or if you keep them together, Most of us cannot even differentiate which one is what, and especially in the females, no one can tell the difference. So males, Denis longi, they have like bars, and the rubra has like dots. That's the only difference between both of them. So they have like beautiful red coloration, and there are two types. Some are in rubra. There are two. Yeah, one with a round tail versus one with straight.
27.
27.
Pizza 27.
Okay. So yeah. So here you can see a male beta Denis youngi. I'm a very bad photographer. All these videos are like not really that good quality. All my tanks, they're not like pleasing to me, but they're pleasing to the fish. So I'm okay with that. So you can see he has like that red brick pattern, red color pattern on his body, and kind of like little blue on the tail. And this is a 20 high with all those fry after like 6 months. And you can see they are like peaceful, they can live together. And after 6 months I stopped breeding them because I don't want to breed like more. So if I want to keep a spawn, if I want to spawn of them, I just go and look at the tank. There will be always one or two males hiding somewhere with eggs. I will just scoop one male out into a separate container and I'll have a spawn to raise. So after like 6 months, I literally stopped caring for them. Just like feed and do a water change maybe once in 2 3 months, and they are good. Yeah, they're like just like looking for food and doing their thing. Uh, the next one is beta species Unimaculata. It's from location Longiram. So most of the species are not described. So that's why you see SP before that. Unimaculata. So we know it's from Unimaculata complex, but we don't know like which type it is exactly because no one basically classified them or studied them. So it you see the female, you see this orange and yellowish pattern on the body. That tells it can be from a Palifina, it's a subcomplex in Unimaculata, but since like no one basically given them a name, so we just give the location name so that we know where it came from. So these grow a little bit bigger. So these grow like like 4 inches long. So they need a little bit bigger tank than a 10-gallon. These are not picky. They don't really need a soft or acidic. You can go with like normal water as long as it's good with not very hard alkaline. And like moth brooders, they can basically take like flake food or pellets. The male won't brood the eggs for like 15 days. And these betas, when they spawn, they need like some kind of privacy in the tank, from the rest of the fish or the tanks next to them. So they like some cave-like structure in the tank where they can spawn. So you can see in all my tanks, there might be a cave-like structure in either a flower pot or a coconut shell or some kind of thing that gives some privacy for the male and female to spawn. So just have some flower pots, the ceramic one sideways, that's good enough. So you can see that's the male and the lower is female. I have a mirror. So the reason I have a mirror is like this is not a bonded pair. I'm trying to bond them. Some of the times the male can be aggressive if the female is not ready. So they go after and kill them. So if you have a mirror next to the tank, so the male thinks there is a rivalry in the next tank, and he tries to protect the female from him. So in that way, he tries to bond up with the female instead of killing her. So that's one way of bonding them. If you have tried to introduce two aggressive species. So yeah, so they ended up spawning, but the male swallowed the eggs after 3 4 days. But yeah, I will keep on trying. This is new species that I got like 3 months back, and this is the location where they are from. You can see like not much water movement, and half of the layer, yeah, half of the one is like without any tannins or no cover, and the other half of the stream is basically covered with all the lotus kind of plants. So these fish sometimes there might be heavy rains, the water might be flowing, and sometimes when there is not much raining, it's just like stagnant water. So that's why I said like less water movement is good, but they can take like kind of used to any conditions in the aquariums. So that's the PR video the guy took, like and the bag I had to buy the whole fish for this video. And this is another unimaculata species called Anchita, beta Anchita. They grow like maybe 4 to 5 inches. They're I can call them as like water puppies. They recognize you. They are not shy. They come to you. They come begging for the food. So most of these species that I'm describing today, they are like beginner friendly. You like anyone that is getting into wild gators or like into aquarium hobby, you can get away with all these species. But the cuisine are a little bit complex. But all these broodings are very easy to spawn to keep. Care wise, all the species that I keep, have literally same requirements. So there might be pH 1, plus or minus, but other than that, everything has the same setups. So that's the male. He was holding eggs, and that video was taken, and there's a female next to him. You can see I have a 10-gallon with submersible tank covered the bottom and redwood floaters on the top. So I don't have to do water changes much on them because I just have like one pair, 10-gallon, and the water is like pure all the time. So like he's really like huge. That's a wild caught pair, but they basically start begging for food from day to day. So here you can see the male basically incubating his eggs in his mouth. So when they hold the eggs, they basically gulp water from outside and release them out through the gills. So that's one way of keeping the eggs rotating and also providing them with the oxygen. So you can see he basically move his mouth throat. So as you can see, most of the species, the females look exactly close to each other with small differences. So this is one reason why you have to keep these species location specific separate instead of mixing them, because these are not described, and if you mix, there's a high risk of creating a hybrid species. So that's it why you just keep species only tanks for most of these, and they just label where you are getting them and when you got them, so that if you want to go back and trace, if you lost a female or a male, if you want to get them back again, so you can trace back and get the exact species instead of different one. And this is another Unimacrita species called long hubang. Care wise same as the first one Longiram I showed you, but these guys have like dark black coloration to the body. Yeah. So that's a male, and I just you can see there are fry in the same tank, the small ones. So males are completely safe, most of them to keep with the fry as long as you want, but the females are the one that goes and kills or eats the fry, because like she knows like if there are fry in the tank and if they spawn, the fry gonna eat the next generation. So she will go and basically wipe out the whole fry and then they spawn again. And this is the location where this long hubang came from, same as Longiram. So not much water movement and dead leaves covering the lowest layer of the water, and that's how they basically catch these fish, with the fishing rods.
Do you know what they're using as bait?
Red wigglers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was using white bread because that's all I have.
Yeah, I mean, some people use some powdery like flour, the flour that we eat. They use make it as a wet. They use that, and some people use like chicken intestines. That's a cheap one to get free. So
I just had some bread. So
yeah,
they ate it. They had no problem catching them.
So this is the same male that was basically holding eggs in his mouth in the same tank 2 days after. I had to take out all the fry because I want to save that batch. And I have the female. I generally keep the female for like 3 or 4 days because third day is the day that the egg started to basically develop. And if the spawn is a bad spawn, the male, he just follows them. So I don't take out the female until I know, he's gonna hold them for the full 15 days term. And I don't recommend my way of keeping fish. So I said like to keep them in a 20 high or 20 long, but I just kept them in 2.5 gallon tank, and they're happy in there. Because I have like so many fish and I don't have much space, so I do things that I'm not supposed to be doing. And here is another new maculata. For a naked eye, we cannot tell the differences of what is what, but for a hardcore breeder in Indonesia, they know basically which is what. So this is a species that's from location Ancam. No care requirements, just like the remaining species. But you can see the males here, they have beautiful scaling on the body compared to other ones. So that's a male and he has some fry in the tank. Just put a mirror because I want him to show off and get that color. So remember the first question I asked, when is the last time you saw wild bettas in a fish store? Never. The reason is like when these guys are stressed, they lose all their color and they all will be like brown fish. So when they're in the pet store, you cannot basically tell how beautiful they will be. So the pet store guys, they won't get much money out of selling them. So that's one reason. Even I have brought some fish today. You don't see any color on them, but over the time when they are settled, that's how they turn into. Yes.
I must have missed that part of the talk, but if you go to Fish and Reptile Depot, they have 4 Cheyenne, one other, and Lee's Feed has some too. I can't remember which ones, but those 2 stores both have wild bettas, or did in the last month.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So once in a while we have this important, and every month we'll have the same species. These big dogs stores like in Wet Spot or someone bring in the fish, and all the fish in the stores who source from them will have the same species for like a month or two, and after that they are gone. So, like I said, don't just keep like 2 males in a tank. So I brought like 2 pairs of these. I had them in a 10 gallon. I thought like they're very small to spawn, so they will be okay for a little bit while I can clean up a bigger tank for them. But I was in a meeting and these guys are like killing each other, and because the female in the tank, I lost 1 female, so I only had like 2 males and a female in the tank, and she's ready to spawn, but there are 2 males, so they are basically fighting with each other to prove which one goes and spawn with the female. And you can see the female basically enjoying the show while these guys are basically killing each other. But there's not much damage, there is just like showing off. Yeah. But right now I have a tank with a 20 long with maybe like 30 of them, and they never fight like this. So just don't have like just 2 males in a tank with 1 female, and this. And you can see they are basically beautifully colored up because they're basically showing off for the female. And like I said, provide some privacy for them to spawn. And this is where I have a flower pot and a pair of them, but this is different time. They're spawning inside the tank. So the male and female, they wrap around so that when the female drops the eggs, the male release the milk and the eggs get fertilized. In some species, male picks up the eggs, and in some species, female picks up the eggs and then give them to the male. So that in this species, male is going to just go down and pick it up, but in few species, the female one. I will show you both the differences. So, like I said, it's very bad quality video, but I just want to show you like how they spawn. And this is of like 2 hours, the same male holding eggs. I didn't save the spawn because I already have like 2 spawns in the same tank, so I just let them release in the same tank, and the juniors get to eat them. And you can see he don't have much coloration because he's done. He got the female. He's spawned. He's done. So he's not flaring up with all beautiful coloration. He's just like chilling in there. Okay, this is another species, beta oscillator, geota. I just brought them like last month, and within like 3 weeks they spawned, and I have fly up and growing now. So people think they are complex, but no, they're some of these are like super easy to keep and raise. So this is a species from Indonesia. Same water parameters, same DDS, same tank setup and everything. So you can see like how they differentiate. What is like they basically count the number of rays and the gill pattern, the rays on the pectoral fins and the bone structure and the weight. So these are things that people basically consider, but for me it's just a fish of like some coloration. And this is the male I told you is like, again, it's just a small 2.5 gallon tank, but I won't recommend keeping in that small container. So he's basically holding eggs, the same pattern like moth brooding.
Question,
Yes,
what's the plant? Is it plastic or real?
that's the plastic one. That's the first plant I brought when I started my aquarium hobby. So I got sentimental with that. So I still have it after like 6 years. So when I brought them, they're a little shy. So I just throw that plant in there, and they're like, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty. I brought my first aquarium with all these rainbow gravel, all these plastic plants and everything. So yeah, I started that way. But this plant is kind of like sentimental. I just keep it because that's the first one I brought. So all these Unimaculators that you've seen so far, they're like huge. They're like 4 to 5 inches. They're like thick, it's kind of like scary-ish. But we have one more Unimacular species that only reaches like 2 inches. So this is a new one that they have found, and they cannot tell if it's a new species or a species that basically decided to be, stay small. So there's a river called Mahakam in Indonesia, and it basically divided into 2 parts for some reason. And the one fish that are in one part are like big, like the other Animaculatus, and the fish on the other part is like small. They only 2 inches maybe big. You can see the Serrano part. It's basically just like 3 inches pod, and the male is basically enjoying inside the pod, and maybe even the female can fit inside. And it's here like in the next one is like when the male basically holding eggs in his mouth. So they're like just like 2 inches, max like 2.5. That's the max they can reach. And people thought like maybe in the aquarium hobby they might basically grow bigger, but I'm in F2. I brought some of them today, but even in the F2 generation, they're staying small. So they might be a new species, maybe not. Who knows? Yeah. So that's they all get the gold pattern or scaling on their body. Beta isn't it? Yeah, so pretty. I had this. I mean, we all have one fish that no matter what we try, we cannot spawn them. But it's easy for everyone else, but for you it's so hard. For me, this species, I had them for like 3-4 years. I still have them, and I cannot spawn them for some reason. And I've switched males, switched females, but still I cannot spawn them. I spawned like maybe 20, 25 to close species wild betas, but this one till today I cannot spawn. But there are other people who just started with this species, and they spawned in the first go. So
Have you tried different bloodlines of them or the same?
yeah, I spawned. I brought like from multiple people. I brought wild caught. It didn't work out for me. I still have them. Yeah, for some reason I cannot still spawn them. Yeah. So this is from the Pungan's complex. Until what we saw right now is Unimaculata. It's in a different complex in moth brooding. So Pungan's. They basically reach like 3.5 to 4 inches, and you see the green scaling on the cheek, and the black, green, reddish on the anal fins, and the dorsal fin is what kind of like classifies them as a Punganax. These are mouth brooding, just like in the Numaculata, male holds the eggs. But in this species, when they spawn, female goes and picks up the eggs and then pass it to the male. So here you can see the same pair they spawned. I mean, they spawn all the time, but the male never holds the eggs in all the species of all the males that I had with them. So here you can see, I will play the video of female releasing the eggs and male have to catch them. So she basically colors the eggs, keeps it in her mouth, and pass one egg at a time. And it has to be close and quick to get that egg. If not, she just goes and picks it back up and they release it again. It keeps on going until they're done with the spawning. And he has to stay close to the mouth so that we can catch. Don't know if they do it again or not, but if you don't want to see these videos, just let me know. I can move further.
Do the customers ever bother in the eggs?
No. They bother the customers. They love their fins sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the long fin lemon blue eyes.
Yeah.
So they have this long fins, right? So they basically go and they get them. Yeah.
Hey.
There you can see. Yeah. They spawn like every 15 to 20 days, but never had fly from there. You see, he's basically following her mouth the way she's turning. Because, yeah, she wants to be, yeah. He's not collecting, so she's like, cutting him back again. And then she throws it up again. I don't want to bore you guys. Let's go further. Okay, this is another permanence complex. It's called beta ferox. I was able to spawn them easily, even though they are from the same complex. So male basically holds the eggs for like 15 days. So here you can see a male in a that is my community tank where I throw in all my leftover betas in. And I will never collect any fry or anything from them because that's a kind of like retirement tank. So we have beta pi. I didn't make a slide representation on them, but I bought a pair of them, and that's beta ferox. They get this nice huge like beta SNI. The anal fin is not long enough, but here is like very long. But these don't have like the thick coloration as the SNI. Here you can see a male, and you can see this mouth is literally full of eggs actually. So here you don't have much coloration because it's done its part and it's basically just sitting in his tank incubating eggs. So this is the only male I've seen where I can literally tell the difference. He's basically had big mouthful of eggs. Chenoids, everyone knows this fish. They are small, pretty, so they're not shy, and this is the beginner friendly, wild beta. They're not picky about their water parameters, and they have this solid brick red coloration and the black and white rims. So and stays like only 2 inches, like maybe 2.5 inch. So everyone who goes to a pet store, if they see like this is the one they're gonna pick because they are always colorful, and they keep the color no matter where they are. And these are they are small. You can just get away with like 5 gallon or 10 gallon, and you can keep like any other wild beta can keep multiple pairs or multiple spawns together in the same tank. And no, not really. Oh, okay, sorry, I thought someone is. So the uh, few people that I spoke, in Indonesia, they told me like the water they have found have little iron in them, so that is why they have that red pigmentation. So you can just add a bit of aquarium plant fertilizer which has iron. So just to get that intense red. I don't do it because I don't want to add anything to my plants. So, but that's what people told me how in the water they have found. So this is one of the collecting trip that my friend did, where they're catching better chenoids in the wild. So they basically just take that basket. So that's a small puddle, I know where these all betas are stuck in the summer. So they just go sweep up and collect all those wild betas and ship them over.
What country is that?
It's Indonesia. So it's I mean, because they're in the water, so the water is murky. Otherwise, basically with dead leaves and really clear water. So here you can see a male and female spawning, and I didn't give them any cave-like structure, but I just have this broken pleco cave, even though I don't have plecos in the tank. But they decide to use that one as a cave structure to spawn to get some privacy. And here you can see also the male and female spawning and female passing the eggs. So she's passing the egg and he's not sick enough, so she's like taking it back again. He's lazy, he don't know what he's doing.
Oh, there you go.
See, would try. So
So 15 days no food, I
yeah,
think
so they're gonna spawn. I'm not sure if you can see the eggs or not in this one. So that's how they spawn. So that's called spawning paralysis. That they stay in that kind of in a second or two, and you can see the eggs, and she's basically popping all the eggs.
Wow.
So even though they were only 2-3 inch, they can have 50 fly in one spawn. Yeah. So and now she had the eggs, and then she repeats the same process of releasing the male. And once the male, when the spawning is done, once the male has enough eggs, he just goes somewhere in the tank and hide. I thought I lost this male because I couldn't find him because he's hiding behind this pot where I cannot see him all the way back. And he only comes out to grab some air, then he goes back and is sitting there. And another species, beta albimachinata, just like chenoids. These are kind of almost similar with little difference to chenoids. So don't keep or mix them because if you mix them, it's almost impossible to differentiate which one is what. So you might be having hybrids. Males, you might can tell the difference. The dorsal fin has the white border, which the chenoids don't have, and also the albumation are thin and a little bit long compared to the chenoids because chenoids are short and thick. And that's a male just flaring. I try to get a good video once in every 3 to 4 months, and then I just save it. So that's a male. He just is flaring to his image. So if you keep them with chenoids, I don't think we can tell the difference of what is what. So just try to keep them separate. So if I have both albumacid and chenoids, I keep chenoids in left side of my aquariums and albumacid on the right side so that I don't risk it mixing there. And in this picture, you can see the male holding. So this is the video or picture that was taken when I show you the tanks in the closet. This is the first piece, the second piece that I spawned in the closet. And then after 3 months, and I'm like, these are not shy fish, so I moved them outside. So they're good outside. So here is the tank inside my closet. So it's really dark. I cannot even see the fish, of 2-3 inches inside the tank. I have some driftwood, some tannins, some floaters. And there are 3-4 generations of them living together happily with the parents. and the parents are still spawning. So the fry might get eaten, but there might be at least 3, 4 fry that are escaping and surviving. And at that time, that's all I want because I don't want more. So yeah, that's the female and that's the male. They're with the rest of them. It's always better to let the male release in the same tank where he spawned instead of moving the male. So just move the female so that there's better chance of him releasing the healthy fry in the same tank. And also there might be some microorganisms in the tank that the fry can graze on. And also my experience and my friends is if you keep the fry with the parents or at least with the male, they grow faster compared to just raising them by themselves. So this is the only time that I had heaters in my tank, but right now I don't have any heaters. I keep my room temperature at 74, and sometimes the tanks are 72, 73, some are 70. So I don't have any heaters right now, but this is 5 years back. That's when I had a heater with set to maybe 76 or 75ish.
Do you have any issues with the Chinoides or Albumarginata or any of them really? The males holding the eggs for too long, or not too long, but as soon as they spit them, they get another batch of eggs in their mouth.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over that.
Okay.
So these, like I said, the females are always ready to spawn. So if we keep them together and for some reason, female didn't bother, so the male released the eggs and he's ready to spawn again. So if he's not conditioned enough, and because he's basically fasting for 15 days, and if they spawn immediately, he's gonna have to fast again for 15 days. That's 30 days without a food.
Yeah.
And imagine he's going for the third time, and you might lose the male. So I don't spawn them very frequently. If they decide to spawn 2 times, I'm okay. But if they try to spawn third time, I force the male to basically swallow the eggs. I release them and just keep him separated and feed him for a week or 2, and then twist back to the female. So don't basically spawn continuously, because I've seen some people they want to basically make some money out of these chinoids or algae because that's the most selling fish, and they try to spawn them continuously without giving a break. And after 2 months, they call me back and hey, do you have more males? I'm what happened? Oh, I spawned him 3 times and he's dead. So don't spawn vigorously.
So what happens if it's just in a big community tank with a whole bunch of fish? You gotta keep an eye out, or do
No,
you take care of it?
she might choose another male. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have 10 fish, there's more chance of female choosing different males all the time. So you are okay. But that's what happens in the wild, right? So there's no one watching them. So the female, who knows, might be spawning with the same male multiple times without giving a break. But yeah, if you just have a pair and just don't feed them, let them spawn frequently. But if you're community tank, that's okay. Even if you lose 1 fish, you might have other fish. But it's not recommended, but it's okay. And this is another species, from Dimidiata. They get these huge fins. So the actual fish is 2.5, but if you count the fins, the fish is 3.5 inches or maybe sometimes 4 inches. Because they get these nice huge fins that kind of extend, and this is when he's flaring. So tank parameters and everything same, no difference. This another beta species pallida. Actually, it's not from Indonesia. This is from basically Thailand. Yeah. So yeah. I think I'll just take this. Yeah. So this is a species. I brought a few fry. This is a wild caught male and female. You can see the male basically mouth brooding. I have them in 2.5 gallon. I basically dumped all my guppy Javamas in the tank. So after 2 months, they don't have any space to basically swim in the tank. So the male basically stays on the top and the female in the front. And after 2 months, I found so many fry inside the Java moss. They are able to escape from the female, and they are surviving inside the Java moss. And this is one species that literally no one else have in US. So I brought a few of them today because I want to spread them. These don't have much coloration compared to other fish. That's one reason no one wants to keep them. but they are like, it's fish survive better and they get nice fish finish. So that's where you can see the male holding. Um, so the same pair, I think they release the fry and she want to spawn, he's not ready. So she basically plucked his eye out. So he's basically having one eye right now. Yeah, females. I don't know what's. It's completely opposite to humans, right? So that's the male in the tank with the fry. So it has nice, you don't have much coloration, but you get nice coloration, in F1s, I've seen having them low in their fins like the Pungrans complex. So that's a female in the back. I had to take out some Java moss because they don't have enough space to swim there. Okay, now coming to the Cosina complex. These fish are bubble nesters. They only stay like, maybe inch and a half, or max like 2 inches. So this is Beta Proserpine. It's named after the wife of Apollo. Yeah. Queen of underworld, because they are like dark with greenish, sheen to them, and these fish are a little bit basically picky about the water parameters. So when I first started them, I had them in regular water with 6.5 pH and maybe TDS of like maybe 150 to 100, and I was having trouble keeping them alive because they're getting this velvet disease and they're not basically eating nicely. So I had to run down to Walmart, get some RO water, and they're like, change the water with RO water, and they're like, okay. So if you're trying to keep them, just basically have some really nice soft acidic, and like I said, they only reach like, maybe inch and a half. So you don't want to keep a pair in it for too long because they're never gonna see each other. So just keep them in small tanks where, if you want to spawn them, maybe like a 5 gallon or a 10 gallon. And if you have like multiple batches of them, then you can keep them in bigger tanks. So here are a few pictures. That's, so that's the male and female playing with each other. And the first image you can see, I have a canister, a film canister that's kind of like floating in the tank. And he built the nest inside and outside. And they spawn inside and basically they keep all the eggs inside. The reason I have a film canister is just like, imagine you have a like, a 5 gallon tank and they spawn on the top water column and they release the eggs goes down. So male always have to go all the way down, pick up the eggs, come back. He's already tired of spawning and he has to again go down and come up all the time, they spawn. And also these eggs, they won't stay in the nest all the time. They keep on falling when the bubbles pop. So all those like 2-3 days, he has to keep going down and up. If you have a canister filter, the eggs basically drop inside the canister, so that you don't have to go all the way down. You can just basically just be there, pick them and put them back.
Who does that for them in the wild?
Sorry?
Who does that for them in the wild?
Well, see, God taught them, to spawn them in low water, areas.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. I just want to. So, like I said, when I first got them, they're super picky about their water, so I had to literally use an RO water. But here I have a video of them. Let you just watch them. So that's when he's basically trying to build a nest. They basically come out, dump some air, and they coat that air with some mucus, and with that mucus, the bubbles stays together, and then they build a nest with that. So that's a male, and you can see there are like different sizes of fry in the same tank. These are all small specks are all the fry. This is a bad example of how they keep their fish, okay? Yeah, you can see there are like multiple batches of them. That's a 1 gallon container, halfway filled. So they literally spawn in a half a gallon. And you can see the water evaporation. So over the time, I didn't even add water to them because I was having some water problems. So I didn't dare to change water. So the water is literally evaporating, and they only have like maybe 4 inches of depth and it's just like a half a gallon of water, and you can see there are multiple spawns of them growing together. So and when I check the TDS, it's 300. So they got used to the water over the time slowly, where they're able to spawn and keep going. So this is one reason I want to show you is like keep the water stable. Don't keep on changing the water. Can you keep on going? I know I've been talking for a long time. Okay, stop me, okay? If you guys are bored. So right now you're seeing beta presbyopia, right? This is beta myopia. You can see both of them almost similar, like almost like close. Like the only difference the people differentiate them is like if they have red coloration, it's myopia, and if they have like black, people say it's presbyopia. But even if in presbyopia there are some with red, so it's like presbyopia, presbyopia are the other way. So the water where they are found, but they have some differentiation in their body structure or whatever. So people kind of have different uh, reason to differentiate as a different species. So here there is a floating PVC. He didn't build the nest inside the PVC, he built it outside. And he's tending the fry. You can see the fry. They are newly hatched. And he's going down to pick it up and keeping them back. I'm not sure if it's clear in the back. Yeah, those are all the fry that basically hatched. That's myopia, persimmon. You cannot even tell the difference if you keep them together. Because once they're stressed, they'll lose their color. SPJ, a new species found last year. So same like this is the smallest of all the wild betas. They only reach like 1 inch. So same bubble nester with small eggs. So same water parameters. So that's a male. So it looks like a red you might know appy. So but an appy with a green sheen to them is beta jade. Again, small container, they're able to spawn and keep them inside. Okay, this video is for some not playing. This is beta hendra, the first picture you've seen. These are the most popular of Cosina complex. They reach like 2 inches, and they are not shy. Always the front of the tank. They get this nice bluish color, and kind of like pops up in the tank. So these are not even picky. They can basically go like 4 to 5 pH or 6, even 6, and softer the water better. But if not, they are not picky. You can keep them. So they reach like 2.5. So they should be like little bit need bigger tanks. So that's the male basically. I just introduced the female, and he's basically showing off to her. So the female, when they are ready, they get these vertical bars. That's the one way of telling that the female is ready to spawn. And the beta macrostoma, the holy grail of wild betas, the expensive one. So in my aquarium hobby of 5 years, I successfully killed 15 pairs of them. So these betas, so the fish that is more with red pigmentation, they are more prone to velvet compared to other fish. That's my observation. So I have this macrostoma, and they spawn every 15 days. Like every 15 days, they keep on spawning. But for some reason, I have all 15 pairs, or at least like 20 pairs. Male always swallow the eggs. So it's not just my experience, like most people. There are only few people that are able to spawn them. They know some tricks which I don't. So I still not successful with them. I'm still trying to breed them. So these moth brooders, the male holds the eggs for like 20 to 25 days. So he don't eat anything for like 20 to 25 days. And when they are ready to spawn, the male is always ready. The female is the one that had initiate the spawning. So I will play the video. So when the female is ready to spawn, she does a nice snake dance in front of the male. So here you can see. Yeah. So that's the one way of telling him like she's ready. So that's they're showing off. So they're spawning and she's like showing off to him. So once they are done with the spawning, the male goes somewhere in the tank and hides. So he's already having a mouthful of eggs. So the natural habitat where they are found, they have this red stone, kind of like sandstone or whatever, the stone in there found nearby, and all the other creatures like the shrimp, the crabs that are found in the habitat are also red, just like beta macrostoma. So when they tested that stone, it's full of iron and manganese. So people think that's the reason they get this nice red pigmentation in there, just like the chenoid in their locations. Beta simplex. So until now, I was saying like, hey, keep your betas in soft and acidic. These guys are completely opposite. These guys comes from um, hard water. So out of all the betas, the simplex is one that comes with little hard water, and the beta mahachinensis, they basically come from sometimes brackish water. So the remaining all are black water. So just these two species, beta mahachai and beta simplex, are a little bit different. So this is from Thailand, from a Picta group. So pH 7 and little bit hardness is okay, but I keep them in soft water just like my other wild betas, and they are fine and they're spawning good. So there are two types: beta type 1, simplex type 1, and type 2. So if they have like nice pattern in them, like with the dots, it's a type 2. They don't have, it's a type 1. But I always say type 2 because that's the rarest one. People can't find it. Beta Lehi, it's from Thailand, Indonesia. So here you can see the two males just flaring with each other. And this is the habitat where they are found. You can see just like dead leaf with all the plants at the shore, basically inside, pointing into the water surface. So whenever they fly or insect, lands on the leaves, they just jump out of the water and snatch that insect. So that is why they basically are good jumpers, because they in the wild they're used to like jumping. Beta mandor, Ashrohi. So this is another wild beta that's basically mostly seen in the aquarium stores, because they get this nice brown or sometimes bluish color, and they are not basically stressed or shy. They keep that color all the time. So that's the location where they are caught. And sadly, there was a construction going on next to the stream. So who knows, there will be there or not in a couple of years. And you can see the substrate here is sandy substrate. So most of my aquariums are like bare bottom. You can go with sand, or you can basically go with some soil or gravel kind of substrates.
Is that one full grown?
So yeah, that's a full grown. So they are fish that are basically found in a small swamp, like this big, small puddle that fish in there. They're basically stuck in there. Beta tenuata is from a Picta group. It's also from Malaysia. They are like 3 inches, maybe max. And you can see the water is basically nicely streamy and flowing. So these fish are adaptable to wide range of water conditions. And okay, this is my fish room. I have like maybe from that wall view here, I have my bed on one side, and the wall on the other side is basically upward with my fish tanks. I have like so many, like close to 30 species of wild betters. I have killifish, some live betters. So I make use of small containers to keep them separate and kind of to differentiate and breed them. I have a small rag with a shoebox where I keep our pairs or fry together to grow. And the bottom slide you can see water with different color tannins. So when I get some of these wild fish, I try to keep them in high tannin water so that they are not easily stressed, because they're shy, like when they're caught from the wild. So just need to give them some time to get used to. This is the bad example on how to keep fish. Okay, just keep them in good, nice tanks. So where to buy wild betas, where to get? Like I said, Brian Strickland, he's from Ohio. He dedicated his basement with, for wild gators. He has over like 50 to 60 species or even more. So that's one guy, you can reach him on Facebook or phone. And we have another website, BW Aquatics, Blackwater Aquatics. He's from LA, Henry. They're also specialized in wild gators and like all these blackwater fish from East Asia. People taking numbers or illustrate.
I have a question.
Yes,
When you get your wild caught fish, do you have to treat them for parasites?
yes. This is normal treatment like application. All right, that's the end of the story. Thank you guys. You guys are so patient. Thank you. It's time for questions. If you have any questions, yes, please.
How long do these fish live?